Hi, I'm Dennis, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about scopes on weapons, and don't cry on over spilt milk. Okay. The reason why I say that is when you buy a scope for a weapon, you can buy name brands. You know, sort of like this one here. This one here is a, can you guess? A Leopold. Okay, yeah. This is a Leopold scope. If I buy a Leopold scope or a Night Force or a Nikon or, some of these other ones, has brand name on there, and if there's something wrong, I can always go back to the manufacturer of that, to them, so-called manufacturer, and anyway, and say, hey, look, I got this problem, and they'll go, oh, okay, and they'll resolve the issue. And they get pretty good about doing that kind of stuff. So, I don't feel bad, because I'm paying for the name too. I'm paying for the warranty and the service that I get from them. That's why they're a little expensive. I mean, that Leopold there is an AR Leopold. It's a Mil-Dot. It's their top of the line one, and you're going to spend about $650 for it, plus taxes and whatever else, sundry things, or maybe a little less, but around that ballpark for that. And you're going to put that on an AR because it's designed for an AR. It's it's got a quarter MOA adjustment, and it's nice. It works great on an AR. It's got bullet drop compensators. Okay, wop 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 wop. Or you can buy this one here is on this less expensive AR. This AR is about $800 AR total in it, and with the type of scope, you're putting about $239 on a scope in it. So this Vector scope here is, if something wrong with the Vector scope, I can contact Vector, and they're a pretty nice company. They really are, and they'll take care of it. They'll do whatever they need to make it right. Okay, but if you go online to like eBay or Amazon, and you go through them and you find a Sightmark, and it's $139, but right below you see another one that looks just like it. All the stats and everything else look about the same as the Sightmark. In fact, yeah, but it doesn't have Sightmark on it. All it has is a little stamp on the bottom, and it'll say "Made in China." Well, guess what? Sightmark's made in China. They're all made in China. Okay, China. There's only one factory in China that makes the scopes. Okay, not just for Sightmark or a bunch of other ones. They make a bunch of them. They make this type. They make this type. They make this type. They make the ELTech. They make all kinds of different type of scopes. And even the trids, okay? Yeah, the $1,200-$1,300 trid, okay? What it is the companies sit there and whoever it is, TrueGlow or Sightmark or whatever, Aim Point, whatever, they get hold of this factory and say, hey, look, we want 100,000 of these made, or 100 of these made, and here's our specs. And they got to meet that specs. And if they don't meet the specs, don't put our name on it and don't send it to us. But if they meet the specs, put our name on it and send it to us. So that's what the factory in China does. They get online, little guys down on the floor start kinking these things out, and next thing you know, they're going up to quality control. This guy in quality control gets a box with like maybe 10 of these in it, pulls it out, or her, anyway, and puts it in the little testing thing and starts testing to meet the standards. And if it does, it goes in another box and with a bunch of them when they get how many they need in a box, and they send it over, and it's then etched, with laser, their name on it, and yada yada yada, and it's boxed up and sent out to whoever. Okay, the rest of them, as they're going through there will be some that won't meet the standards, but they're close, and those are sold to mom and pop, because the China factory is not going to take this one that didn't meet standards there and throw back down the line for someone else to tear apart and look at. Ain't got time, not economical. Let mom and pop worry about that problem. So mom and pop sells this to you for $39.95, not $139 or $140, but $39.95, and you like that. You get it, and you go, it didn't work. Well, first of all, let's understand, it didn't meet the standards of Aiming Point or whoever. So why should it work perfectly? Sometimes you gamble, sometimes you win too. Sometimes they slip through. They make so many of them, they make 100 for Aim Point. Aim Point gets their 100. The rest of them that do meet the standards of Aim Point are still sold to mom and pop, and you might luck out and get one. But what you're doing is you're taking $39.95, you're putting it on the table, you're picking up a pair of dice, and you're throwing them. And sometimes you throw snake eyes. Snake eyes, as everybody knows, means you crapped out. Well, I did. I crapped out. I threw snake eyes, and I got this sight right here. And I put it on my 5.7. This is my AR 5.7, okay? Anyway, and Dad burn it. It didn't work. But, hey, it had fun. I had a lot of fun at the range. Shooting it, and, because it's a weapon. It's a lot of fun to shoot. But it didn't do it. Okay, so I go, okay, fine. So what I did is I got home, cleaned up my weapon, took this off, and looked at it. I says, oh, why is it not doing it? And I happened to notice that there was some, kind of alignment problems and other things. And I'm going, wonder what that's about. So me, being a tinker like I am, I tore it all apart. Found out what was wrong. It was the adjustment screw for the elevation was not in the neutral position. It was all the way to the top. So when you try to adjust it up to make it go up, which is actually the other way, but as you try to adjust it, it wouldn't go anymore because it was out of tolerance. So I took it apart, put the neutral setting where it's supposed to be, put it back in, assembled it all together, found some other little problems too, resolved those, and once I did that, I put it back on my 5.7, and I went to the range next weekend. And we had a good time shooting this, shooting that, shooting an FN. We had a lot of good time shooting. And by the way, the 5.7 with that sight locked in on the paper. And I was shooting groups about that big around. I'm not going to shoot 1-inch MOA with a 5.7 with that type of scope at 150 yards. And it just ain't possible. It is not possible. I'm sorry. First of all, I can't do it because of my eyes. I'm old. But also, younger people couldn't do it because it's just not designed to do that. This type of sight is made for close quarters. 50 yards, 100 yards, maybe around there. But anyway, I had fun shooting and it worked like a champ. So I bought another one. Snake eyes again. But I found out what was wrong with this one. It was a little split washer was missing from it. And I put that in there and adjusted it all, fixed it all up, and I got another one. And another one, too. So that means I got 3 that were, I don't know, but the third one worked perfectly. But the other 2, they were snake eyes. But after working on them and everything else and not crying over spilled milk, I turned them into 11s and 1. I got 2 scopes. I bought this for $49.95. It worked out fine. No adjustments needed to this one. No repairs, nothing. Worked out fine. Had a little problem with the little broken thing here, but it worked out. Just fixed it and that's it. But it was nice. The nice thing about it I found out, because there's no markings here of who's the manufacturer of it. It was made by the China factory, but it was made for TruGlo. And how I know that is not because TruGlo is not written here any, which if it met their standards and it was sold to TruGlo, it would have their logo stuff, lasered on it, but it didn't, and that meant that this one was probably meant to go to TruGlo, but it didn't because they got their quota. They wanted 100, they got their 100, and that's all they're buying. They're not buying 101, they're buying 100. So this was one that went to mom and pop, and sold to me for $49.95. And how I know that for a fact, the factory forgot to not include this cap. This is the TruGlo logo cap. So that's what happened there. And I got that like that. And it worked like a champ. Okay, I did it again. That was $49.95. No snake eyes. I got a 7 on that roll. Then I went there and I says, well, I got a 308 that I'm building up for shooting, for going hunting with, and I need a long range because I like to shoot about 600 yards around there at my targets. But I want to make sure I hit them correctly, and I don't want them to go everywhere, so I need tight tolerance. So I bought this. $149. The reason why I bought it, I was sitting there saying, well, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And I looked at it and I kind of said, well, I don't understand this one. Let me look at this one here. And so when I got it, I looked it over and I kind of said, wow, it's a pretty nice little thing. It's got illuminating retina. Okay, so it illuminates the retina, ground glass retina. Okay, it doesn't overflow to the rest of the housing inside. It has a 0 to 40 zoom capabilities. It has a power wheel on it for the the distance zoom setting. Okay, it's got a 1/8 MOA adjustment turrets on it. Okay, it has parallax adjustment on it, so it's really a nice little scope. Okay, put it on there, fire it. It's got a 30 millimeter tube, and anything. Come to a nutshell, I found out by researching more that this scope is the same one used by the Chinese government for their snipers, and also the Russians. The only difference is there's a name that's etched on these. It starts with an S or something. I can't remember right now. My brain ain't that great. But anyway, nonetheless, I got this for $149. Okay, it's a little problem on it. It had a split ring adjustment on it. Wasn't really working correctly. So only the problem with that is that the split ring nut that holds the barrel in place and allows it to move and maintain its integrity was backed out almost completely off its out of the screw settings. So got the little handy dandy tools out, do my little thing, little red tight, make sure it won't do it again, put it all back together, and I got a perfectly shooting scope. It'll shoot roughly about a 15.5 inch MOA at 1200 meters. 15.5 inch MOA at 1,200 meters. Now, I don't know who else is out there that's shooting long distance, but if you're out there and you know about shooting long distance, you know that's pretty good. Anyway, so when I'm shooting at 600 meters around there and I'm popping, like a 2-inch MOA at 600 meters, I'm feeling awful good. So there you go. That's what I did. Now, I didn't cry about spilt milk. I didn't go wham, wham, wham. Somebody call me the wambulance. No. I said there, okay, if it didn't work, what's the problem? Find out what it is, fix it. Because I can't send it back to China. China ain't going to give me my money back, and China ain't going to take it back. So that's the name of the tune. Okay? Don't cry over spilled milk. Just go ahead, figure out what's wrong with it. If you get a good one, good. If you don't, figure out what's wrong and adjust and see if you can fix it. If you can't, so what? $39.95. You waste that on coffee and bagels in a week. Okay, all right. So if you got a question about anything about scopes, hey, write it down below, and I will address it as soon as I can. Okay, and if I can't, I'll make a video about it. Whatever your question was. All right. And in the meantime, other than that, you guys always remember, hey, keep powder dry.